Those moose horns there with the skull still attached are from a moose we got here, oh, years ago. But it's been sitting about 50 yards down the lake, and when we got back this year, it had been moved to just below the cabin, and Una is now using it to have a good chew on. This lake is super sandy. This whole area is really sandy. The water in this lake is not as clean as the water in the lake where our little cabin is. And there is lots and lots of pond life. It really is more like a big pond. It's got lots of pike in it, northern pike, the ducks and the geese and the swans, usually a couple of loons that spend the summer here. They build their nests over on the far side there in where the creek comes in. There's lots and lots of swampy, grassy areas all over on the other side of the lake there and down towards where the creek leaves the lake. There are lily pads and all kinds of growth under the water. It's almost like a little forest underneath there. There are also freshwater snails living in the lake here. But there are little bugs that live in the lake that the ducks and the geese and waterfowl like to eat. Whereas the other lake is so clean it doesn't have anything. Like, I've never seen even a single bug in the water we've taken out of that lake to drink. This lake also gets the dragonflies hatching out their larvae in here. And it's going to be pretty soon now that I will be coming down to get water, and it will be filled with dragonfly larvae. Normally when that happens, the lake has frozen over and there's enough of a thickness of ice for me to be able to stand on it and get my buckets full of water. But I go out further because the larvae tend to be close to the bottom of the lake. So closer to shore, where the bottom of the lake is obviously closer to the top of the water, it's pretty thick with the dragonfly larvae. So if I can go out about 20 feet, I end up being in the deeper water and can avoid scooping up dragonfly larvae into our drinking water. In the springtime here, the little blue dragonflies are just crazy. There's so many of them. It's a really neat time of year to be here. We're not up here that often in the spring anymore. It is a really neat time to be here because of the dragonflies. It's like you go walking through the moss and there's like little teeny tiny fairies flying up all around you. It's very cool. I don't need a thigh master carrying full buckets of water up those stairs every couple of days. It's hard work, but it does get easier as the season goes on. I feel stronger and stronger, and I really notice that it gets easier. Once the lake freezes over and we can get the skidoos going, getting water is super easy because we just fill up all of our jugs, our big camper jugs, with water, and we have them all in the skimmer behind the skidoo. We take it down to the lake, and we have a 12-volt pump on a hose that we just drill a hole in the ice, stick it through, pump the water out of the lake into the jugs, put them back into the skimmer, haul them up to the cabin, and unload them into our storage hallway in the cabin. And it's so much easier, but this is really good exercise. At least that's what I keep on telling myself. Una, come on, leave it. Come on. Totally ignoring me. Come on. Come on. Up you come. We're all done down there now. Come on. I'm not done yet, Mom. Come on. And you can't bring it with you. Come on. Una. Listen. You're going to have a timeout. Come on. Come on. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. That's a good girl. She's getting better. Last night, after it got dark, it started to pour rain, and this morning when we woke up, it started to be sleety out, kind of like a half rain, half snow. Now it's definitely snowing, but it's not really sticking on the ground. But it's a very gloomy, dark, overcast day with the clouds kind of right above the trees across the lake, so it's even kind of misty over there. But I figured today was a good day to do a little baking. What I'm going to start with today, Una's chasing a squirrel at the window, is I'm going to be refilling my biscuit mix bucket. So this is just your average 4-liter ice cream pail, which most of us keep because they're handy to put stuff in. This biscuit mix is really simple to make, and it makes really good biscuits. Once I have this mixed up, there's several different things that I can make with it. One is obviously biscuits. And I also make dumplings when I make stew, and I use it to make cinnamon rolls sometimes. I have thermometers in here. This is a newer one. This is an older one. It's hard to read, that's why we got a new one. I also have a pizza stone in the bottom of the oven here to help with dispersing the heat from underneath, because in a propane oven the heat only comes from the bottom, it doesn't come from the top. The joy of this pre-made biscuit mix is that you don't have to mix everything up in the bowl every time you want to make a batch of biscuits. It's already mixed up for you. So there's my 2 pans of biscuits ready to go into the oven, but I can only do 1 pan at a time. And I'm going to check the oven temperature to see what we're looking at. It's already 425, so that's excellent. We can put a pan into the oven. Keep talking about redoing the inside of this kitchen. The cabinets in here are part of what was the original kitchen area in the main part of the cabin in the front. The cabin had 2 different rooms when we first bought it, and we've added on the kitchen about 10 years ago. It's a very comfortable kitchen for me to work in, and I love the windows looking out onto the lake. That's always nice. The cabinets in here are not ones that you can close up. I have curtains just covering up all the stuff on the bottom of the cabinet over here, and this one as well. There's curtains covering up the bottom. But we have talked about the idea of ripping all of this out and bringing up IKEA flat pack kitchen cabinets for in here. It's a real toss-up as to whether it's worth it. We're pretty basic here, pretty rustic. The biscuits should be done now, so I'm going to take them out of the oven and go and relax for a bit. The weather up here never ceases to amaze me. We started the day with rain and then sleet and snow and heavy, heavy skies. This afternoon, we had the sun breaking through and I was able to fully charge our big 2,000 watt battery. And then this at the end of the day. Just beautiful. Yesterday, Trev brought in a bunch of our canned goods. He had to go out to take my car into Watson Lake to store it at a friend's place before we get any snow, because it would be difficult to get my car out in the snow because we don't plow our driveway. We will eventually take the truck out to the road as well. We only do that after it starts to snow. We can get it out for a certain period of time before it gets too deep, but we still have stuff in the truck that we need to unload, and we can't park it on the road with stuff in it because it will get broken into. We've had windows smashed out of our vehicles before parked on the road and things stolen out of them. Somebody even smashed out the back window of the truck once and stole a towel. That was the only thing that was in the truck, and they stole the towel. Anyway, today I am busy putting away the canned goods that he brought in. What I do when we bring in fresh canned food is I always mark the date on the can so that we know what year the can was brought in. So just as an example, I have some tomato soup. Every can that comes up to the cabin, doesn't matter how many we bring up, gets marked with the year that we bring it up. So right now it's 2025, so I'm marking all of my cans with 25. That way I can do stock rotation so that we use the stuff that is older first. Canned food freezes fairly well. We get a few casualties, like we have this can of green beans and this other can of green beans. There's drip marks coming from the top of this can. So this can has frozen and blown the seal on it, so it's no longer good to eat. So we just chuck it away. And this one is in question because the label has stuff on it and there's like gooky stuff that's leaked out of it. So we don't take the risk of saying, oh, maybe it's okay. It's just not worth the risk for a cheap can of green beans. And we also have this can of sliced beets that has been here since 2022 and it has expanded, so it's also not worth the risk of eating. That's one of the things that happens when you do freeze stuff. Everything expands. Even when you freeze bottled water, it can expand and break the bottle. That's just what happens when you freeze stuff. So we've never gotten sick. We've never had any issues other than the occasional can bursting a seal. Dill pickles don't work so well, so we try to eat all of those before we go home, as well as canned milk, which we bring up for our coffee and tea because we just don't have any source of milk except powdered milk, which is really gross in coffee and tea. We bring up enough of those to last us for the year, but we don't plan on having any left over because they don't freeze well. So pickles and canned milk do not freeze well. Trev also brought up some of our home canned stuff. So we have chicken and turkey and I think sausages And I'm not sure, we kind of emptied the freezer before we came up, and Trev canned it. He loves to can stuff. We just bring up canned fruit, canned vegetables, canned soup, canned tuna. We eat a lot of tuna. Canned Spam, big favorite. We don't buy the Spam brand. We buy the holiday brand. And of course, see, this one is dated 2021. We have a whole pile of this stuff up here. It freezes really well. We buy it at the dollar store in Canada for $1.50. It fries up really nice. I can mash it up and make it into sandwich fillings, and I make a really good sweet and sour Spam. So have my handy dandy marker, and I am marking every can that goes into this cupboard. And this is basically all for our canned goods. It seals tight. The mice can't get into it, so I don't have to clean the lids off of the cans before I use them. The shelves in here are really heavy duty plywood, like 3/4 inch plywood, and they're really strong for holding cans, but also the heights of the shelves are designed for cans. So it would be hard for us to use this for anything else other than canned stuff. And it's worked really well over the years. We've had this for quite a while now. This is the canning cupboard. I'm slowly filling it up. I bring all of the older cans of food to the front, put fresh ones behind. We bring the canned goods out in the plastic dairy boxes because they're nice and strong. Cans stack really well in them, and we can put them into totes on the ATV trailer and bring them out without them getting all wrecked and dirty and stuff. So, but whatever doesn't fit into the cupboard gets put back into the dairy boxes, and I put them onto the shelves in our storage area, sort of behind where we hang our coats and stuff. And they stay cooler out there and out of the way, and I just replenish the cupboard as I need to over the winter. We do not eat a lot of canned food at home. We eat canned soup, and we'll eat canned spaghetti sauce, but we don't eat canned vegetables at home. So I'm not really a fan of canned vegetables at all, but it's what we can have up here. This is some of the home canning that Trev did. So we have some ground beef here, and this one here is actually hamburger patties that were in the freezer that Trev cut up and canned. There's some chicken. I think that's mostly chicken in there. There's some wieners. He canned wieners. We're really cleaning out the freezer. You wouldn't believe how handy having cooked meat in cans is. When I want to make a stew, all I have to do is throw a jar of stew meat into the pot and add water, onions, vegetables, whatever is going to go into the stew, and I don't have to brown the meat or anything because it's already cooked. The hamburger is super handy when I'm making spaghetti sauce or chili. I just have to throw the meat into the pot and add the spaghetti sauce and tomatoes and things like that and seasonings, and it's just sits there and simmers. I put it on the wood stove in the front, and it just simmers for the day, and it's ready to eat by supper time. But I don't have to cook the meat because it's already cooked. It's really, really handy. I have to figure out what to do with the home can stuff. We have a bunch of home can stuff that has been here for a year plus that we need to use first. But I am going to keep some of the chicken out because that's kind of a different meat for us to be able to have up here. The rest of them I'm going to put into a sort of a harder to reach storage area in my storage room. This is one of the areas that I've been working on since we got here. This used to be our son's bunk bed, our youngest son, Zach, when he would come up. And there was a top bunk, but we never actually used it for the kids. We ended up building another set of bunk beds along the wall here where the can cabinet is now. If we ever have company, we have mattresses down below in our storage cabin that we can throw on here. So I have some dog food that if we don't use it up, we'll need to get put into something to keep the squirrels and the mice from getting into it. This big garbage can right here is where we keep our dog food, and at the moment it's pretty much full. That is going to get used up, and then hopefully I can just dump that into the can. We also have a few other bags of dog food out at the truck still. What we do is our son works at a pet store. One of the perks he gets for working at the pet store is he gets a bag of pet food every week or every month. I can't remember now. But anyway, he gets us the really good, expensive dog food. And we mix it with the Old Roy meaty chunks that makes a gravy because our dogs really like this. They're not too crazy about the stuff that's really expensive. So we mix the two of them together and then they'll eat it. And they're getting, you know, a really good dog food as well as the gravy that they like out of this particular dog food. What I'm trying to do is put stuff at the back that I don't need to get into very often. I have jars with all of those white buckets in the back. They're filled up already, so I don't need to get to them until my jar is empty. These garbage cans are full of things like flour and oatmeal and like big bags of dry products. So I am going to put the home canning in behind here because at the moment there's nothing back there. Gracie's been having a lovely time playing back there, but I'm going to be filling it up now with some home canned stuff. So that fits well back there, and I've got the box labeled and everything. And I think that's it. Woohoo! So I'm going to take you out and show you what Trev's up to. There's the workhorse. So Trev is building a pull-through machine working on spot that he can be out of the snow. It goes over the trail that comes in to the cabin, attaches to the woodshed, and he will be able to work on the skidoos and the quads without having to lie in the snow and getting all wet and everything. So this is something he's been wanting to do for a while. He ends up spending quite a bit of time working on our machinery. I don't know if he actually enjoys it or not, but he does it a lot. So he's just using whatever lumber we have on hand. So you can see there's 3 2x4s, one on top of the other on this last support here. But on the other side it's 2x10s because that's what we had here. So just whatever we have is what gets used. Gracie is having a little bit of outside time. She loves being outside, and we're constantly having to catch her before she dashes out the door because she is an inside cat. But if she gets the chance, she will head outside. Yes, you're crazy. But generally what she does is she runs over here to the front of the cabin where it's all sand, and she just drops and rolls and I can grab her. But yesterday she did get out and run around the front of the cabin, down the side, and all the way down to Trev's shop. So that was a little bit scary because if I hadn't seen her get out, I would not have known where she'd gone because she's usually right around the cabin. So when she does get out, I have to grab her pretty quick, yeah. It is October 22nd. The day started out with pouring rain and was supposed to be rainy or snowing during the day, and now we're getting some blue sky. So just can't believe the weather, man. From our little cabin in the Yukon to wherever you are, take care.